Here's something few people admit about living alone after 60. It's not the silence that weighs on you. It's what that silence makes you remember. A soft piano melody begins, warm but wistful. For millions of older Americans, that first morning alone hits differently. The smell of coffee still fills the air, the sunlight still lands on the same kitchen table, but the world feels quieter. Not sad, just different. And no one really prepared us for that change, did they? Pause. A gentle exhale, almost like a sigh of understanding. But what if that same quiet could become your comfort? What if the solitude you once feared became the very thing that gives your days meaning again? This isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about discovering the hidden strength that comes with living alone. Because while no one warns you about the hard parts, there are also beautiful parts that most people never see. In this video, we'll uncover the 5 secrets no one tells you about living alone. Truths that can turn loneliness into peace, silence into power, and solitude into something you might even start to love. If that message already speaks to you, give this video a like. It helps YouTube share it with someone else who might need this tonight. And to bring these lessons to life, let me tell you about someone who's lived them. A woman who found unexpected joy in her quietest days. Meet Eloise Wynn, 72 years old, a retired postal worker from a quiet lakeside town in Michigan. For 40 years, she delivered letters filled with other people's stories. Love notes, holiday cards, handwritten dreams. She always thought retirement would finally give her time to write her own story. A soft piano note lingers as we see her kitchen, neat, cozy, touched by warmth. A steaming mug rests by the window, light glinting off her simple gold earrings. Her gentle silver hair is tied in a tidy bun, and she hums out of habit as she stirs her tea. She imagined retirement as freedom, slow mornings, her favorite cardigan, maybe a watercolor by the lake. But after her husband passed, and her children built their own lives hours away, Eloise began to notice something she'd never delivered before: silence. The music softens. More introspective now. Days stretched longer. The house seemed to sigh when she closed the door. Meals for one didn't taste the same. And for the first time in her life, Eloise realized that peace and loneliness can sound almost identical until you learn how to listen. Pause, then a gentle tone of empathy. But that's exactly where her story began, because what Eloise discovered in that silence holds the same truth many seniors across America are only just beginning to understand: living alone doesn't have to mean feeling alone. Secret number 1. The silence isn't empty, it's loud. When Eloise first began living alone, she thought silence would be peaceful, like a gentle pause after decades of routine. But she soon realized, silence has a sound of its own. She'd pour her morning tea, and the house would answer: the slow groan of the floorboards, the whisper of wind against the window, the faint echo of laughter that once filled the kitchen. Each sound felt like a ghost, not frightening, but familiar. Her husband's chuckle in the hallway. Her children's footsteps rushing down the stairs. The rhythm of a life once full. Researchers now have a name for this: auditory nostalgia, a phenomenon being explored in 2025 geriatric psychology. It happens when silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back moments from the past through memory-linked sounds. It's not just imagination. It's the mind's way of keeping connection alive. Eloise learned that the more she tried to drown the quiet, with TV noise or constant distraction, the lonelier it felt. So she changed her approach. Instead of fighting the silence, she shaped it. Every morning, she played soft jazz, the same kind her husband loved. She placed a bird feeder just outside the kitchen window, so chirps and fluttering wings would fill the air by sunrise. She even began recording the sounds of her mornings: the clink of her spoon, the wind in the birch trees, her own gentle humming, a daily soundtrack of calm and continuity. And slowly, the house stopped echoing with loss. It began to hum with life again. Today, scientists say soundscaping, intentionally curating the sounds in your home, can lower anxiety, sharpen focus, and even reduce the physical effects of loneliness in seniors. It's not noise, it's nourishment for the mind. Because here's the truth. Silence isn't the absence of life, it's the invitation to listen again. So, if you're watching this right now and your home feels too quiet, maybe it's not silence calling you. Maybe it's memory, waiting to be transformed into music. What sound makes your home feel alive again? Tell us below. Your answer might help someone rediscover theirs. Secret number 2. Routine is the rope that pulls you back. After months of drifting through her days, Eloise realized that freedom, the thing she thought she wanted most in retirement, was beginning to feel like floating. Each morning bled into the next. There was no reason to wake up early, no one expecting her anywhere. She described it like this: it wasn't sadness. It was weightlessness, and not the good kind. So she decided to bring back a little structure, but on her own terms. Every morning, she got dressed as if she were still heading to work. Not to impress anyone, but to remind herself that the day still mattered. She'd put on her cardigan, brush her hair into a neat bun, make her tea, and stand by the window just as the light broke through the trees. That small choice, dressing for the day, became her first act of purpose. And then she added more. A 10-minute stretch before breakfast. A gratitude note scribbled in her kitchen journal. Feeding the birds at exactly 9 a.m. Her days began to hum again with gentle rhythm, not rigid order. Experts now call this micromapping, a growing wellness trend among older adults in 2025. The idea is simple but powerful. Instead of filling your schedule, you build tiny anchors, small, repeatable rituals that give your day shape and meaning. These micromaps help the brain predict comfort, especially for seniors who live alone. They lower cortisol, improve sleep, and, most importantly, remind the mind that time still has texture. Eloise says, "When I start my day with structure, I stop feeling invisible. My rituals tell me, you're still here, still needed." You see, routine isn't about monotony, it's about memory. It's a quiet agreement between you and your future self. I'll show up for you again tomorrow. And maybe that's what we all need, not a new chapter, but a rhythm that makes the story worth rereading. What's one small ritual that gives your day structure? Maybe it's your morning tea, your garden walk, or calling someone at sunset. Share it. Your idea might become someone else's rope back to meaning. Secret number 3. Loneliness has seasons. Not every day felt the same for Eloise. Some mornings, she'd hum while making oatmeal, feeling grounded and calm. Other days, that same kitchen felt unbearably still, like the walls had grown thicker overnight. She couldn't explain it at first. There was no clear reason, no trigger, no bad dream. Just the ebb and flow of feeling alone. Over time, she realized something simple but life-changing. Loneliness moves in seasons. It's not a permanent state, it shifts, softens, and sometimes surprises you with light when you least expect it. Psychologists in 2025 are calling this seasonal solitude, a growing recognition in geriatric mental health that loneliness behaves like weather, not architecture. It doesn't stay fixed, it passes through. And just like the weather, it can be forecasted, understood, and prepared for. Eloise began tracking her emotions with what she called her mood calendar. Each night, she marked her day with a small colored blue for calm, grey for quiet, yellow for content, and red for heavy. After a few weeks, she noticed a rhythm. Mondays felt harder. Rainy weeks tugged her down. The first week of every month, when she paid bills and cleaned, she felt more grounded. This awareness didn't erase the loneliness, but it gave it shape. And when something has shape, it no longer feels endless. On the weeks she predicted quiet days, she'd plan something bright, a walk near the lake, a video call with her daughter, or baking a new recipe. Slowly, she stopped being surprised by her moods and started partnering with them. Experts say this emotional tracking builds self-regulation, a proven way to reduce depression and anxiety among older adults. It transforms emotional chaos into clarity, like watching waves instead of drowning in them. Eloise said it best, "Once I stopped judging my loneliness, it stopped controlling me." And that's the truth most people miss. Loneliness isn't a life sentence. It's a cycle, a tide. If you can learn to surf it instead of fight it, it loses its power. Have you noticed your emotional seasons? Maybe you feel lighter in spring or heavier on quiet Sundays. Which season are you in right now? Let's talk about it below. You're not alone in it. Secret number 4. Connection doesn't always mean people. One quiet afternoon, Eloise brought home a small fern from a local market. She placed it on her kitchen windowsill and named it Charlie. Every morning, she'd whisper, "Good morning, Charlie," as she watered it, a small, almost silly ritual that made her smile. Weeks later, a neighbor told her about a local animal shelter, and that's how she met Socks, a shy grey and white rescue cat with one folded ear. Suddenly, her home began to hum again, not with conversation, but with presence. The rustle of leaves in the morning breeze, the sound of soft paws on the kitchen floor, they replaced the heavy silence that once filled her days. But it didn't stop there. While scrolling one evening, Eloise stumbled upon a Facebook group for senior watercolor artists. She joined on a whim, posted a few of her old paintings, and within hours, strangers were leaving kind, encouraging comments. Soon she was laughing through her laptop screen at virtual art nights, showing her paintings, and cheering on others across the country. And here's what's remarkable: according to 2025 studies in social gerontology, non-human companionship, like plants, pets, and online creative groups, can increase dopamine levels and lower reported loneliness among seniors by up to 37%. The science confirms what Eloise already felt. Connection isn't always human, sometimes it's simply alive. It's easy to think connection means conversation, but the truth is, it's about engagement. It's about having something to tend to create with, to grow alongside. For Eloise, caring for Charlie and Socks wasn't just a hobby, it was purpose disguised as love. When she fed Socks or misted Charlie's leaves, she wasn't just nurturing them, she was reminding herself that she still had warmth to give. That's something psychologists now call reciprocal care, a powerful emotional exchange proven to help seniors rediscover meaning after loss. As she once said, "You don't always need someone beside you. Sometimes you just need something to care for." It's a quiet truth, one that hums softly through the homes of many who live alone. Love doesn't disappear, it simply finds new shapes to live in. What's been your most unexpected companion lately? A pet, a plant, a hobby, or even an online group? Share it below. Your story might inspire someone who needs a reason to smile again. Secret number 5. Peace comes when you create meaning. There came a night when Eloise sat at her small wooden desk, her cat Socks curled near the lamp's glow. The world outside was still, the kind of stillness that used to make her uneasy. But that evening, something in her shifted. Instead of reaching for her phone, she reached for a pen. She wrote 3 simple words at the top of the page. "Dear future me." At first, it felt odd, like talking to a stranger she hadn't met yet. But then the words started to flow. She wrote about her hopes for the coming spring, the courage it took to start painting again, and how she finally learned to enjoy her own company. Some nights, her letters were long. Other times, just a few lines, a quote, a wish, or a reminder, "You've made it through worse. Keep blooming." Weeks later, Eloise decided to share one of her letters in a seniors Facebook group. She didn't expect much. But within days, the post had hundreds of reactions. Comments poured in from across the country. People her age sharing their own letters, some to their younger selves, others to the loved ones they missed. That small act became something bigger, a wave of reflection spreading through the community. Experts now call this growing movement legacy journaling, a 2025 wellness trend that helps older adults find meaning and emotional renewal through writing. It's not just about recording memories, it's about connecting with the person you're still becoming. Researchers at the National Institute on Aging found that seniors who write regularly about purpose and gratitude show higher levels of serotonin and decreased symptoms of loneliness. But for Eloise, it wasn't about data, it was about peace. The kind that comes when your thoughts finally have a home. Every letter she wrote became a quiet monument to the life she was still living. And with each one, her evenings felt lighter. "It's like sending kindness forward," she once said, "to the woman I'm still learning to be." The beauty of it is simple. Purpose doesn't need applause. It doesn't need an audience. It just needs to be shared. So maybe peace isn't found in grand gestures or new beginnings. Maybe it's in the gentle act of creating meaning from what you already hold inside. If you were to write one letter to your future self, what would it say? Share one line in the comments. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs tonight. Eloise still lives alone, in that small lakeside Michigan home with its faded blue shutters and the gentle creak of her wooden porch. But it doesn't feel hollow anymore. The silence that once pressed in now wraps around her like a familiar blanket. The walls that used to echo are now alive with laughter from video calls, the hum of her radio, and the quiet scratch of her pen on paper. Her mornings begin with sunlight spilling through the window, her cat stretching beside her chair, and her first deep breath of the day, steady and unhurried. Every moment has found its rhythm again. The silence became my song, she says softly. The walls became my witnesses. The quiet became my peace. Then she smiles, that quiet, knowing kind of smile, and adds, I used to live alone. Now, I just live. Because somewhere between the silence and the laughter, Eloise found what so many forget, that peace isn't found in company, it's found in connection. And that solitude isn't punishment, it's the space where your soul finally gets to speak. So as her story fades, we're reminded. Silence became sound. Loneliness became rhythm. Solitude became sacred. This isn't just Eloise's story. It's a mirror for anyone who's ever felt the weight of quiet. A reminder that even in stillness, life hums on. You're not just surviving your alone time, you're shaping it. This season of life isn't about slowing down, it's about showing up. Fully, boldly, beautifully. If this story touched your heart, hit like, it helps another senior find hope tonight. And subscribe to Elderly Dose for stories that remind you, it's never too late to begin again.